Good afternoon, friends. Today's topic for the video conference video clinical trials. The clinical trials are prospective biomedical or behavioral research studies on human participation designed to answer specific questions about biomedical inventions, including new treatment of vaccine or drugs. Uh, they are conducted only after they have received health authority or ethical committee approval in the country where approval of the therapy is sought. The clinical trials or approval does not mean the therapy is safe or effective, only that trial may be conducted. Depending on product type and development of stages, investigation initially enroll volunteers or patients into small pilot studies. Cost of clinical trials can range into the billions of dollars per approved drug. The sponsors may be governmental organization or pharmaceutical organization or pharmaceutical companies. Uh, Trials of drugs. Some clinical trials involve healthy subjects with no pre-existing medical condition. Other clinical trials pertain to people with specific health conditions who are willing to try an experimental treatment, which is called pilot experiments, are conducted to gain insight for design of the clinical trials. There are two goals to testing medical treatments. First is to learn whether they work well enough, called efficacy, or second is effectiveness. It means where they safe enough, that's called safety. For example, many drugs to treat cancer have severe side effects that would not be acceptable for an over the counter pain medications. In the US, elderly constitute 14% of the population while they consume over one third of drugs. People over 55 are often excluded from trials because they have greater health issues and drug use complements data interception, and because they have different physiological capacity than younger people. Children and people with unrelated medical conditions are also frequently excluded. Pregnant women are often excluded due to potential risks. During the trial, investigators recruit subjects with the predetermined characteristics, administer the treatment, and collect the data of the subject, means patient, health for defined time period. Example of clinical trial goals including assessing the safety and relative effectiveness of a medication or a device on a specific kind of patients at varying doses for a new medication or new indication, evaluation for improved efficacy in treating a condition as compared to standard therapy for that condition, evaluation of the study of drug or device relative of two or more already approved conditions. uh, Clinical trials. The methodology of clinical trials was further developed by Sir Austin Bradford Hill, who had been involved in the streptomycin trials from the 1920s. Types of clinical trials. Clinical trials are classified by the research objective created by the investigator. In an observational study, the investigator observed the subject and measured their outcomes. The researchers do not actively manage the study. In an interventional study, the investigators give the research subject as an experimental drug, surgical process, use a medical device, diagnostic or other inventions. Trials are classified by their purpose. Prevention trials looks for ways to prevent disease in people who have never had the disease. Screening trials test for ways to identify certain disease or health conditions. Fixed trials considered existing data only during the trial's design. Phases. Clinical trials involving new drugs are commonly classified into 5 phases. Each phase of drug approval process is treated as a separate clinical trial. The drug development process will normally proceed through phase 1 to 4 over many years. Phase 0. The aim of the phase 0 is pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinetics in human. In phase 0 trial, there are optional first in human trials single therapeutic doses of the study. Drug or treatment are given to a small number of subjects, which are 10 to 15. Preliminary data on the agent's pharmacodynamics, what the drug does to the body, and pharmacokinetics means what the body does to the drug. For in phase 0, the drug, uh, the test of drug, the trial document, the absorption, distribution, metabolism, and clearance means excretion of the drug, and the drug's interaction within the body to confirm the appear to be expected. In phase 1 means screening for safety. In phase 1, there is a first in person trial testing within a small group of people, typically 20 to 18 people, to evaluate safety of the drug, to checking of the safety of the drug. In phase 2, it is the preliminary effective of the drug in treatment group, usually against the placebo control group. In phase 2, it is specially designed to assess dosing requirement, how much drug should be given. While phase 2b trial is designed to be determine efficacy of the drug. In phase 3, it is the final confirmation of safety and efficacy. Testing with large group of people, typically 1000 to 300, to confirm its efficacy, evaluate its effectiveness, monitor side effect, it compares to commonly used treatments, and collection of the data. Phase 4, it is called as safety studies during sales, post marketing studies, delineates risk and benefits and optimal use of the drug. The randomized controlled trial can provide compelling evidence that the study treatment causes an effect of human health. Currently, some phases 2nd and most phase 3rd drug trials are designed to randomize double-blind and placebo-controlled. Blind phase is the subject involved in the study do not know which study treatment they receive. If the study is double-blind, the researcher also do not know which treatment is given to the subject. This intent is prevent researcher from treating the two groups differently, a form of double-blind study called as double dummy. A clinical trial protocol is a document used to define and manage the trials. It is prepared by a panel of experts. All study investigators are expected to strictly observe the protocols. The protocol describes the scientific rationale, objective, design, methodology, and statistical data. It contains the study plan, which assures the safety and health of the trial subject and to provide an exact template for trial conducted by the investigation. Clinical trials recruit the study subject to the signed document representing their informed consent. Informed consent is a legal process in which a recruit is instructed about the key factors before deciding whether to participate. Researcher explains the detail of the study in terms of subject. Clinical trials are only a small part of research that goes into developing a new treatment. Potential drugs, for example, first have to be discovered, purified, characterized, and tested in the labs. Some reasons clinical trials might last several years. For chronic conditions such as cancer, it takes months, if not years, to see if a cancer treatment has an effect for the patient. For drugs that are not expected to have a strong effect, means a large number of patients must be recruited for the observation of any drug. The bigger barrier to completing the studies of the shortage of people who take a part. All drugs are many devices. Trials target subset of the population. Clinical trials designed by a local investigator and in US.